Hi, today we're going to review tech trends that are revolutionizing the digital world and look into emerging technologies and discuss these topics with Jim Slick of Slick Cyber Systems. Jim, take it away.
Howdy, howdy.
Howdy.
Yeah, this is a fascinating topic, I think, and I've always enjoyed talking about emerging technologies in general. Obviously, we're not going to cover everything. We're just going to grab a few that happen to be, in my opinion, I think just huge. And especially the
Agreed.
first one.
Agreed.
So yeah, let's start out. Let's talk about artificial intelligence and machine learning. Yeah, I can talk. Um, you know, AI is really starting to show its face everywhere, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we're seeing it now on the web a lot more.
Yeah.
We're certainly seeing it, um, in various mechanical, businesses,
Hmm.
manufacturing. It's just, it's kind of wild. You start to think about the things that are possible today because of
It's
artificial intelligence.
fascinating. It's true. I mean, just the difference in say 18 months of from 18 months ago to today, or even less, a year ago, 6 months ago,
Crazy.
the how far it's grown, how fast it's grown, and how 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 well these products have grown up, and like the abilities that they have is just breathtaking.
And it actually works.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah. It's not
Uh,
just vaporware. It actually does what it says it can do.
yeah, it's I think that's the fascinating part. I mean,
Mhm.
you hear a lot about, this trend or that trend, or this is cool, this is new. This is something that's actually like
Real
starting
work.
to do its real, yeah, it's starting to do real work, starting to
Yeah.
do its thing. And we're just seeing, we're just not even cutting the surface yet. I mean,
No,
uh,
it's definitely the infancy. It's definitely infancy, but it's not it's not crawling. It can actually perform what it's meant to do.
yeah, I mean, coding, but painting. I saw um, a thing on the internet, a little, you know, where they said to the computer, hey, draw me a picture, you
Hmm.
know, and oh, my God, it was crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
I just really, it's freaking,
Yeah, it's totally going to change some things depending on how you decide to use it and what the availability of these engines can do, and how anybody who is savvy enough to build a front side that can interface with the smart of the AI, if you will, and to get the intended output. Anything from coding through writing a letter, through that's just some simplistic stuff, like you said, even a picture, like literally design a picture from nothing. You want a pink elephant, in a rowboat, and it nails it.
yeah,
It's pretty good.
it's nuts. I just, of course, you've got to look at this and start to think Terminator, right?
Yeah. Right.
I mean, at some point, we've got to have some, I don't say governance on it, and I don't mean government governance. I mean, what are the safety mechanisms, that need to be built in to prevent, any sort of strange
Yeah. I
thing
mean,
like that. I mean,
that,
we can say it's strange today, right?
yeah.
Just because it's a movie, that
Yeah.
or a series of movies that we all grew up with watching. It's like, oh yeah, Skynet, da da da. Okay, Uh, but at some point, that's going to get real.
Yeah.
And then, when they start putting, possible defense or whatever. I mean, if it can
Yeah. I
endanger
mean, I
life,
mean,
right?
Elon Musk is a huge proponent for slowing down whatever's going on right now and making sure that there's a mechanism to turn it off before I don't want to say necessarily self-awareness, but I mean they built an engine based on some of the smarts of the technologies that are out there. I think the one is called Chaos GPT. It literally, they gave it a problem and said, how would I end humanity? Something along those lines. And
Yeah.
it literally went online, looked up what's the most efficient way to get rid of people, and it said, "Oh, okay, let's use nuclear weapons." And then it tried to get a hold of them.
Well, that's and there you go. Yeah, I know. Yeah, we can sit here and crack up about it all we want, but I mean, again, this is
Yeah,
if they enable it. I mean, at some point in time, whether the machine's self-aware or not, irrelevant.
yeah.
To me, it's canon.
Is it efficient enough to make it happen? Can
Yeah,
it go through the process of not just ordering your groceries for you because you yell at your assistant to go get order my normal whatever delivery.
right.
They can deliver me a 10 megaton bomb. Yeah, that'll be a
Oh,
problem.
yeah, you think? Oh, it's nuts. But I mean, for certain, there's going to be a ton of good coming out of this.
Absolutely.
So, and hence I used the term governance before, just
Mhm.
in that program, the safety switches, right? To be
Yeah.
able to say, okay, you've gone far enough. We need to fix you before you fix us. So I think that's going to be a huge thing, and,
I
and it
think the
better be sooner than
pieces,
later.
I think not to cut you off, but I think the pieces that are going to be most important are things that you can add, the values that you can add to your business that you may not have today, or you might have to outsource, or that really don't exist, like product controls or taking AI, taking an object, let's just pick on this little water bottle, right? But you can't see it there. Okay, the water bottle, and say use like a desktop printer and scanner and tell it that you want to design something along the sides of that, print me this object or scan this device, give me a 3D rendering and tell it to give you a certain kind of output and to make those kind of things. I think that the smaller micro-sized businesses or medium-sized businesses that can't do those things today, make the X, Y, or Z, they have to outsource it or get all kinds of other people involved. That literally makes them be able to turn around projects very quickly,
Yeah.
where they might have had to take months, or a year to get something done. They
Well, I mean,
literally could turn that around quick.
look at what 3D printing, alone has done
Yeah,
for media, small medium business. I mean,
yeah,
my gosh, we're producing things now in hours, as opposed to weeks and months,
yeah.
to be able to get a prototype out. I mean, so now if you combine AI with that,
Hmm.
or with that type of technology, that certainly changes the entire landscape of business and
Yeah.
how things are done. And I think it's cool.
I agree. I agree. I mean, like, yes, there's that scary stuff. There's some silly and some funny things and some things that are just going to be, just amusing to look at. But I think that the ability of being able to take a small business or an idea and come to market with it, lightning fast and meet a need that
Yep.
might not necessarily have a long window of opportunity,
Yeah.
a
Right.
couple of months, 6 months, a year at most, and then maybe you've sold that business or you've moved on to something else that is in the zeitgeist that is meets some sort of needs. You look back at what they were doing during the pandemic, where we got some smart people who were able to use printing and they designed masks for
Right.
people, or different types of breathing apparatuses that they're able to quickly and efficiently get out there so that local businesses could print those masks or those covers or whatever it was that
Right.
that's really interesting.
Yeah. It's a new world, and ever changing world,
Hmm.
ever changing times. Steve Lukather, good stuff. Um, but yeah, I think we beat that topic
No, I agree.
for the time being. But
I
yeah,
agree.
it's fascinating, and I just we really need to keep our eyes on that, and hope for the best.
Yeah, and we'll bring it back as more things become interesting. We'll talk about it again at some point in the future.
Absolutely,
Something
absolutely.
else I think that people have talked about in the past, and everyone's kind of heard of it, especially in this past year, is blockchain technology. But for a bunch of different reasons, right? Uh,
Crypto.
yeah, crypto. Obviously there was a point at which that when people initially wanted it years ago, we went back some time. I know that you and I in the past had some chats with some people in the past, and it was nowhere near ready for mainstream. But you think of people who had, we'll pick on crypto, I can't remember the name of the
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin. They had actually had you know hundreds or 1,000 Bitcoins, and if they would just literally sat on it, yeah, it would have been, more than a decade, but sat on it and dumped it, they'd literally be billionaires. overnight from sitting on that, Bitcoin. But Bitcoin blockchain technology is something that is, I don't think it's going to go away. It's a tech that's here.
No, but blockchain is not going away. It's going to, to change or evolve.
Hmm.
But I mean, the distribution of, of your database, your transaction, your ledger, right? Call it what you will. And distributing pieces here and pieces there, and it's totally decentralized. That is an awesome concept, just because there's no one person or one company that is in control. I like that part of it.
I think a lot of people like that part. Like,
Yeah.
if you will, I don't want to pick on like any particular credit card company or anything like that, but
Well,
remove a certain company you don't necessarily want to
well,
like.
heck, we just had two banks close up,
Yeah,
in the last month or so. I mean, geez, that's spooky, and they weren't small. I mean, Silicon Valley Bank was
yeah.
that was a big institution.
But
So,
removing them from the ability of controlling, your money, your assets, what
well,
happened is pretty interesting.
and so moving right back to the pros of having that distributed environment, if you will. It's also scary
It is.
because now, all right, well, where is my data?
Yeah.
Good
That's
luck.
always that's always a concern a
Yeah.
lot of people don't think about.
Yeah, and cloud has a lot to do with that too. I mean, you start talking cloud. All right, well, where is your data? And I don't want that's topic for another series of videos. But it's I as a business owner, I want to know where my data is. I want to be able to see it, touch it, feel it. It's like picking up that block of money, right? Here, I'm holding it in my hands. I know this is mine, and you can stick it in your pocket and walk around with it for a month if you so choose. Why you do that, but whatever. Um,
Yep.
so that to me is the scary part, is the fact that it is distributed. Where's my data? Well, it's kind of like everywhere, right? Wherever the ledger is, whatever machines, plural, that it resides on, and that's the deal. And but again, it's a tech that's going to evolve, and it's not just the currency, right? Digital currency. I mean, we're using blockchain tech for many other things now, and it's certainly a lot more difficult to crack or hack than the traditional methods, password hash algorithms. I mean, they are what they are, but
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. It's something that we need again, much like we talked about before with printing or any of the other stuff, 3D printing and stuff. It's something that is here. How it grows up and how it matures. We're in that time. We're gonna see, how that happens. And
yeah, right.
that kind of moves us into another topic of everybody already lives with this Internet of Things or IoT. I mean,
IoT, yeah.
we all have a phone, right? Or you can't really see it. We all have a phone. Whether it's an iPhone, you got Siri, or if you've got an Android, or you happen to have Alexa, and she's probably in the room here going to hear us and ask us a question, or one of the other devices. But there's so many others. But IoT it's been here, it's here to stay. It's not going to go away. Internet connecting or interconnecting the devices is something that we're living with. There's great aspects of it. There's some crummy aspects of it, but it's a technology that's here, and I think that's something that we should discuss and talk about. What are some great and what are some not so great
Well, the
thoughts?
you know that the great is you have all these devices being connected, and which when you start to add AI and that sort of thing in with it, you can have some pretty wild results.
You can.
Good results. The thing that you've got to think of, especially that we're years into this now, is the security of it.
Yeah.
So, right. So I have a personal phone, right, and it wants to connect everywhere, right? So a smartphone. And go trotting into somebody's business, and now what's the first thing that all these devices do? Hey, you want to
You
connect
want
to
to
this
connect to the
network
Wi-Fi. Yeah.
now? And let's just say that place does have, I'll call it guest access Wi-Fi. If it's not set up right, you realize that that phone could be infected with something, and it's not that you're the bad actor, but you are the bad actor when you're walking in the door, connecting to a network. And if they don't have the network set up right to just simply go outside, right, and not touch any of the internal systems,
Yeah.
holy moly. I mean, you're talking, you could potentially bring an entire business down by just simply not following some basic networking, etiquette, security etiquette. It's like, all
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
leave the outside outside, leave the inside inside, and that's the way it should be. So that's the part to me of IoT that scares me the most is just I don't think there's enough care. I mean, it's definitely gotten better, especially when it started. There wasn't enough care being taken to secure systems in general. And I mean, even the device. I mean, the device should have some type of protection on it.
Yeah.
Not that there's a whole heck of a lot um, available in protection for these devices yet. But I mean, let's get away from the phone thing. How about you get a new refrigerator in your conference room or something, and the damn thing's it's internet connected. It's
Yeah.
got this pad, touch pad on the front
And cameras.
and cameras, and it's like, okay, well, this is nice, but where where does the problem come from if that device ends up now there's no protection on them. I mean, they're
No.
closed systems, and it may be such a closed system that it's never going to get bothered by a bad actor, but I refuse to believe that somebody at some point in time is going to figure out, but I want to see what's in Jane Doe's refrigerator,
Yeah.
and maybe what's going on in their kitchen, and then
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's the thing, that's the part that makes me most nervous is that,
yeah,
and those who don't know, I'm very paranoid about like cameras on computers, and you could certainly get into a situation where you don't even realize that someone's connected to your computer, and
right,
if you're in a like just a meeting, that the privacy of the meeting, the agenda that's going on, or the topics that are being discussed, the outside world can have access to it. We've all seen how just a conversation between a couple of people, like
yeah,
through like, or say a ring doorbell, a security camera, are because it's not closed. There are people that can get into it, like
right,
they could be bad actors, or they could be even someone that, like, has an axe to grind you with you from the local police department, should
yeah.
just release some real compromising stuff. So the security of what takes place between in your confines of your four walls, your security, your business, your you don't want to say your bedroom, but any of those things that could be private
It's
discussions is
it's starting
definitely
to
going.
open. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's starting to open, and the old Orwellian
Yeah.
1984, right?
Yeah.
Big Brother's watching you. Well, Big Brother has been watching you, man, for a long time, and Big Sister too.
Yeah.
And I'm not mentioning her name, because it will turn on and start asking us questions. But
Yep. The
it,
big A
it's
word.
and it's amazing, not to spill over to this, but I'm going to anyway, because it really is an IoT piece, right?
Hmm.
The Amazon devices and the like. Um, geez, how many times have you had a conversation with somebody? It could have been about a race car or this or that, and all of a sudden you're searching on your computer, that night, the next day,
Or your mobile phone.
and now you're getting pop-ups of this stuff.
Ads. Yeah.
It is listening. It is definitely, and again, that's the AI of it, which is what it's designed to do. Oh, we want to feed you things that you are interested in, that you like.
Yeah. Yeah.
As the concept is wonderful, in my opinion, I don't feel like we should be spied on 24 freaking 7.
Yeah,
Uh,
the data behind the data.
I
What
got,
what is your favorite flavor of ice cream? What are the shoes you like to wear? What is
I've,
whatever? What is the medication you take? Yeah, all that stuff
yeah,
is important to people
I've
who want
got
to
a,
steal your ID.
I've got a serious issue with that, and I think that's where companies like Amazon and Google, they're just way overstepping their boundaries,
Pardon?
and I know they're claiming it's for the good of searching it, and yeah, there's a piece of it that it is, but man, whew, how about Ask Me, or
Well,
I
it's
mean, and you can turn it off. I get
yeah,
that.
that's the
So
part. That's the part. That's the frustrating piece, is that 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 information, that metadata, that info behind the data, the searches, the things you're looking for, like they're not necessarily all blinding that data out. So because they're happy to sell your who you are, your metadata, the things
Anything,
that make you who you are to any
anything,
advertiser so they can sell you something or or potentially use it against you for whatever reason.
yep.
You figure out political axe to grind or a social axe to grind. I mean that in an environment where you literally don't have to have actually done anything wrong, you just have to have the perception of done something wrong, and it can truly destroy a business, a brand, a person, almost overnight.
Where there is good, there will be bad.
Yep.
That's a given. You're always going to have for the numerous crazy amount of good people, there are out there. There are numerous bad actors that want to just break something, steal something. That's the world,
No, I agree.
and it is what it is. Well, enough about IoT. I think we've got the general idea.
Yep.
It is here to stay. It's going to grow. It's going to get bigger. We just have to be aware of the security around and behind it. And as long as you're designing to the best that you
I
can.
think that that's an
Oh,
important segue as we go into the next pieces of which I want to talk about. We had mentioned earlier about cloud computing, and that's the next piece. I want to talk about cloud computing, but understanding the ramifications of not securing your data, is important. And as we go into cloud computing, and we all, if we rewind 10, 15 years ago, when people would say cloud, it was mythical. They didn't know what it was. It didn't really exist. You'd see a picture of a cloud or some, and it was like, it literally, people act as if it was some,
my
Narnia,
computer's in heaven now.
yeah,
Yeah,
some
yeah.
Narnia kind of place that didn't really exist, and it was, magical, and there was, everything was perfect, and there was never any problems. But
And I still think there are a lot of people that do not understand the true definition of cloud, cloud of the cloud. What is the cloud? The cloud, guys, is the internet. Okay.
Mhm.
So for those of you who don't know, it is the internet. It could be a computer in my data center. It could be a computer in somebody's home. It could be a computer in Amazon Web Services data farms,
AWS, yep.
which there are AWS, which there are tons of, or Microsoft Azure, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The freaky thing to me is when let's just say you light up an AWS server or an Azure server. Again, where's your server? Where is your data? You don't know. You will never know.
Yeah, because they're never going to tell you that they've outsourced that data to maybe potentially to a network that is in a non-friendly
Well,
non-friendly
you
country.
don't know. You could
Yeah,
have you could have a non-friendly server, AWS server. They're all virtual servers, right? I mean, you
yeah,
get physicals, but for the most part, most people are doing VMs. You could have a virtual on the same damn box that your enterprise server, you know what I mean, is running and chugging away and doing its thing. You could have a bad actor, playing some nasty stuff
yeah,
literally on the same machine.
yeah.
I mean, granted, it's a different network and the technologies that they're truly separate, but I don't know. To me, I look at it. Look, if you're a small company and you need a couple of servers and you need to light something up quick, it does make all the sense in the world, especially if you're, let's say time crunched. All right, I'm going to be running this program for a year and that's it, and then it's going away. Why
Yeah,
why should
or
you
or you
spend the
just
money? Why should you spend the money to buy the server? It makes all the sense in
or
the
you need to
world.
spin something up quick
You're
to double or triple your use because you're
right.
seeing a burst in business.
And you're, so along that thought, you're renting, right?
Hmm.
So you're not just renting the computing power and the disk space and the machine, right? You're also renting the facility, the electricity, the air conditioning,
The people.
the people, um, the internet, which by the way, excuse me, little water burp there. You are paying for ingress and egress.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, like it gets very,
That
very,
I don't
very
think I don't think
expensive.
a lot of, and I understand it, right? Another nerd like yourself, but to explain that to somebody, because I don't think a lot of people understand that ingress and egress with
Okay,
regard
so
to
so
the cloud.
ingress is in, right,
Yep.
and egress is out.
Yep.
So when we start to talk about with cloud, you have a server sitting somewhere, virtual or physical, who cares what it
Yeah.
is, right? It needs to talk to you, and you're not there, so therefore it's because it's in the cloud, it's in the internet, it's somewhere else, it's not at your location. Maybe that's a clearer way to say. All
Yeah.
right, so it's in the
Not in my
cloud,
building.
it's not in my building. So now I have to access that. So every time that I request that, the data, just that one split second, right? You have that's ingress. And
Hmm.
then the egress would be the response, right? Back from that computer.
Yep.
Now, there are millions, billions, trillions of those, that conversation, it's a computer. I mean,
Yeah.
it's input, output. So you're paying for that. And they're charging you big time. Uh, and,
Consulting
and and
fees.
and
Yeah.
especially now that it's become as popular it is, the prices have just gone, higher and higher because, oh, well,
Because they can get away with it.
we have to move to the
Because they
modern
can
data
get, there's
center.
nothing to do with anything but because they can get away with it.
We've got to move to the modern data center. Well, I don't like when people just arbitrarily say, well, it's the modern data center.
Buzzwords.
Why?
Hmm.
Correct. They're following Gartner and all this other stuff. It's like, wait a minute. Do you realize your total cost of ownership, TCO, to have that server on location, all right, and pay an MSP to take care of it, um, your internet connection, which you need anyway, and as a matter of fact, you need a bigger internet connection if you're dealing with 100% cloud, because
Yep.
now
A lot of
100% of
people
your
don't think
data is
about
out
that.
there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because you got
So
to pull it
now,
in, pull it out, pull it in,
so now
pull it out.
you've just blown your savings alone right there, just in increasing your pipe size, your internet pipe size, right? So it is way cheaper, way cheaper. I've done so many return on investments for analysis for companies. It is so much cheaper to keep that server in your building, and maintain it, pay for the support, have the MSP run it, keep the air conditioning on, blah, blah, blah. It is just an unbelievable amount cheaper. Now, there are some hybrid solutions that are coming into fruition now. Um, uh, Dell has their new Apex solution, right? I mean, and it's fascinating that they're calling it a private cloud. Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
all it is they're taking um, the a rack with a couple of servers in it, and they're wheeling it in, switches, everything, and it's ready to go.
Yeah.
And they're wheeling it into your data center, to your room, and okay, well, let's light up. They're calling it private cloud. What? There's nothing cloud about it at all.
Mhm.
It's just you're now renting servers instead
Yep.
of buying or leasing.
And there's something to be said about taking that thought like people do with a car, leasing it, and then after so many years when they're at a point to move to the next thing. It for the right type of client, and a solution
Makes
like
sense.
that makes total sense.
It does, and it is definitely more expensive than buying it, but
Yeah.
not by a tremendous amount. Not like true cloud computing,
Yeah.
AWS, Azure, that kind of stuff. That's like triple, literally triple the amount of money. It's stupid, and I don't get it. That is my number one pet peeve of computing. In 2023, and
So would you say when someone's at that step of everybody that's in the boardroom, everybody that has the ear of the people who have to spend the authority to get, they know they need a technology and they need an environment, they want to do something. Would you say that having a conversation with someone like yourself or someone, that is a systems engineer or a network designer and say, well, here's my application. This is what, not just software like what I
yeah,
need to do, my
you,
use case, and then
absolutely.
tell me what what it's going to look like both ways to get a good understanding of pricing.
You should be looking at all avenues, and first of all, why do you want to do one over the other? I mean, it's the old needs and wants, right?
Mhm.
Needs have to be fulfilled, and wants are nice to haves. But if you don't get one or two of them, all right, whoopee do.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the trade-off, right? There's no such thing as perfect,
Yeah.
but you have to get the best fit for your environment and for your application where your people are.
Yeah.
All right, so let me give a very brief example. If you have a small office, right, that might have two or three people working in it, but you have 50 people on the outside around the globe.
Yeah.
Perfect, perfect. It is absolutely ideal at that point, to put something in Azure or AWS, and in cloud computing. And that makes sense because you've got people all over the place, accessing the data, and you don't have to deal with it. You're going to pay more, but you don't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a building that has 100 people in it, and maybe just a couple of salesmen or whatever on the outside, to me, I look at that and go, what the hell are you taking your servers out of the building for? Keep them in the building. Everybody's accessing it. You're getting it the high speed possible. A gig connection, 10 gig connection. You can't do that over the internet, a cloud connection. It's unrealistic.
And just virtualize, or I say virtualize, but I mean cloud enable those particular applications or pieces that make
Yeah.
sense for the external users.
And it would be no different, having that salesperson, for example,
Mhm.
VPN in or use whatever technology, SACE or whatever, to be able to come in and access that securely. It's no different than what you're going to do if you host it up at Azure, right?
Yeah.
They give you a VPN connection. That's how you get in.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
Yeah. It's the
so what did I
so,
listen now instead of 3, 4, 5 VPN connections, now you got to deal with 100.
yeah.
I mean,
And the licensing that goes with it, and the
right?
nightmare that's associated with that.
Yeah.
So I don't think that a lot of people understand when it comes to
Oh,
that. Go ahead.
sorry, but and when your internet connection goes down,
Yeah, no work.
you're no work. You're done. You're out.
Yeah.
So now in a perfect world, you really should be running SD-WAN, right? So two separate, completely separate internet pipes, and then
Mhm.
you've got to deal with all the SD-WAN stuff, which now you're doubling your firewall. You're doubling. It's costly. It really is costly.
Makes total sense for the applications where it never needs to go down, but you're correct that it does absolutely ratchet up those fees. And
It
if
can.
if if your if your if your intent is to have, I think that you'd probably agree is that the best overall um, use of a cloud environment is going to be dependent on the use application you have as a business and
Yeah.
your goals, and maximizing your spend to productivity.
Absolutely. Your return on investment. Do not do it because it happens to be the latest and greatest, you know, talking trend, amongst the Gartner groups and that kind of stuff. Listen, following the leader it can be dangerous because if the leader walks off the cliff, guess where you're going to? Off the cliff.
And we all know that
Be smart.
applications like we could pick on Rackspace or even
Whew,
Microsoft, they've all had outages,
big time. Well,
and then
Rackspace, that disaster, their entire exchange environment, not only did it go down without them saying anything back in, what was it, early November, late October, early November,
somewhere around there.
and now they've said, "Well, we're not bringing it up. It's, good luck. Good luck. I mean, seriously, that's insane.
Yeah, people get really uptight about you not being able to get to email for like 25 minutes, but could you imagine like literally weeks, months, or
it was
longer?
months. It was
I
months.
know, that's insane. But like
And
you have no ability to. We take it so for granted that those applications, those softwares are going to be there. But well, like if you're truly invest, I think that's one of the other
it
things that we need to discuss is like in cloud, if they're going to want to lock you in.
it is susceptible to all the same type of malware and cryptos that any
Just
other server
outages. Yep.
anywhere else is.
Yep.
And Rackspace was that they got a crypto, and it literally just took out the entire environment. They were able to recover, a good percentage of mailboxes, but they're still doing that. I mean, we're 6 months later.
Yeah.
I mean, you have business to run, man. How it just blows my mind, that there's listen, I'm going to come back to it again. It's a use case scenario. You do your return on investment. Don't follow the damn leaders because everybody says go to the cloud. I'm not against cloud. Don't get me wrong.
It just has to be a smart use.
Got to be the right situation, the right use, and the right fit for the business. Don't
Yeah.
do it just because it's the latest trend. That's stupid.
No, agreed. Agreed. Some of these applications get locked in too. That we didn't really discuss that, and I mentioned it before. Like once you're in, you're in. That's it. You're not, they don't want you to leave. That's the whole point of getting you on the service, is to
That's
keep you around for a very long time.
Yep,
So
exactly.
if you commit to it, and then it's stinky, there's a good chance that you're going to own it for a while until you figure out how much more money you need to spend to get out of it.
Yeah. Of course, that could be same thing, from an application standpoint. You
Yeah.
get by an ERP system, right, and you're paying all the support and all that stuff, and all of a sudden you realize it doesn't do what it's
Yeah.
supposed to do. Geez, we have one of them here. I'm staring at the moment. Um, I'm not going to mention it. I don't
Yeah.
want to get anybody all freaked out. Anyways, yeah. So moving right along, I want to get out of the cloud things. That does whip
Yeah,
me
I
up.
agree. I think we beat that one up for a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
I think one of the things that people heard about and maybe know a little bit about it. It sounds kind of ethereal, kind of, there's a coolness factor about it. Virtual reality, which a lot of people kind of know what it is. You put a headset on, you do whatever that is, or an augmented
Walking the walls.
reality. Yeah. Now, if you have a kid, I'm just gonna chime in on this one. I've got a young 20-something, and he loves the game, and we all know that that's one of the options for gaming is through VR. Put a headset on, go online, play a game, whatever that is, and game it up and all that jazz. But the reality is virtual reality and augmented reality. That's the one that
They're
right now I'm most interested in.
they're two different things. So
Yeah. Yeah.
just to touch on VR,
Mhm.
I think VR is so pie in the sky. Um, it's the 5.1 audio, so DVD audio, if you guys remember that, or SACD, which by the way I have both. I am the nerd that loves surround music.
Nerd.
It was the hype, it was the right thing to do, da, 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 but
Nerd.
even the thank you. I resemble that remark. Um, but it never took off, and then it died. Now I've got a whole plethora of SACDs and DVD audio or yeah DVD audio titles, and I'm still keeping this player alive, to be able to play the damn things,
Yeah.
and they sound killer. It's awesome, but it just didn't pick up and take off. And that's my fear of what's going to happen with VR. I
Yeah.
think it's just going to die because who the hell wants to, listen, the same thing with 3D TV, right? I was
Yeah.
a big fan of that as well.
Yeah.
Nobody wear the glasses, just a little set of glasses that you put on, their active glasses or even the passive set, of real 3D. Uh, it, Nobody wanted to wear the glasses. Oh, I don't
I,
want to wear
I,
the
I,
glasses.
I
Well,
don't.
how are you going to wear this big hunking,
I,
mega
I think more reality on the big hunk of glass, like you had mentioned with the 3D. I think the difficulty was it wasn't just that. If however many the average household has, two, three, four, five people in the house, you had to have a pair of glasses for everybody.
Sure.
And if you had to plug them in, you had to hope that everybody was smart enough to realize they have to plug them in the next time they use them, or someone's sitting it out.
If they're rechargeable, yeah.
Yeah. Or if you have friends over, now you have this blurry, smudgy kind of thing on TV that you can't really watch without the active glasses, and it's difficult to watch, so you can't be
If
part of it.
if it would have taken off, Chris, in my opinion, I think if it would have taken off, it would have been those glasses would have gotten cheap. I mean,
Every
10,
tech
12
does.
bucks.
Yeah, every
But
tech does at some point.
by the time it died, I mean, they were down to what, $100 a pair.
It was around $100. Yeah.
I know I've got like 6 or 7 pair, for my own stuff. I have
Hmm.
six in the main, and then two upstairs. Yeah, eight. I have 8 pair. And they were expensive, especially the rechargeable ones.
Yeah.
My God, I think I paid 250 or $300 for each of them. But the all the point I'm trying to get at is you have a very cool tech, and yeah, it does look good and it's neat. But if people didn't want to wear those glasses, even forget buying them. Let's just say they didn't want
Yeah.
to wear them. Why are you going to wear this big clunky old thing
It
to
has
try
to
to play
block
a
out
game?
all the light. Yeah.
Yeah, it
So
just
that it has a very immersive feel.
Yeah. So
Well, not to
I'm
mention the other down parts of it, and like feeling nauseous when you wear it. It's on you have to use the other weird controls, things like that. I think at some point it might become more of a reality once they work out some of the things. But I think that, like you said, a lot of it's pie in the
I
sky.
I think it's going to be niche. That's my opinion. I think it's going to be for certain niche markets where
Yeah, agreed.
you have to teach something, that from a safety standpoint that you're sitting down and actually working on
Yeah,
something, and whether it's surgery or whatever, for doctors,
yeah,
that to me makes sense. But for a gaming,
yeah.
that's I just don't. That's my opinion. It's just my opinion. You can disagree with me all you want, and it's all good.
The other
So
tech that kind of
yeah,
leads into is the one that I
augmented.
think is the coolest is augmented reality.
Well, that makes all the sense in the world because now you're overlaying, real pieces of intelligence over top a
Hmm.
real picture.
Yep.
So, hey, geez, Jim, will you run over and from your smartphone and show me the back of, of this computer, and I could tell you what to plug in, and then you have, overlays that can come, that come on there, and you can actually see and have text and the like, or maybe I'm using probably a very poor example of it. But yeah, as we were saying about, maybe that was a really poor example, to mention about the back of the computer. But I believe you had mentioned TeamViewer. So
TeamViewer is one
go
of
ahead.
them. Yeah, TeamViewer is one of the application that has the ability that you as the person that if you're trying to work with someone that's on site and they're less technical and they don't know how to plug in, A, B wire into the back of the computer or another device, TeamViewer and some other applications have the availability of being able to have those overlays, those pop-ups, those things that
Yeah,
are going to help that person that's on site explain, like a little arrow says, "Hey, plug it in right here."
yeah, do
Um,
this.
yeah, do this, push this button, give me this number or whatever.
That
And
that makes a lot of sense
I,
because
I
now
agreed.
now you have the actual device in front of you. I mean, here I'll hold up this little Apollo Soul little interface here
Yeah,
on the audio side. Well, geez, all right. If you press this button, it'll do X. If you press this button, it'll do it, and it'll show you the different things
yeah,
and what the display should look like and all that.
yeah.
That just makes, in my opinion, it makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, Google had its Google glasses that
Glass.
had yeah, and the glass had the ability to, like, as you're looking around, it could kind of know where you're at and what you're doing and what you're looking at, and you can
Eh,
see times and there's a great idea, not well done, but a great idea in the sense that it allows you to interact with like the real world,
Yeah,
and you're
and
like, hey,
and
you're looking at something, and is the price
there,
right?
there was a browser. I think it was called Lair. Layer, Layer. I think that was a browser that did the same thing.
Hmm.
And I may be wrong. It may not be the right app, but I remember, and you literally would hold, and it would tell you what businesses were, as you looked around the street.
Yeah,
Oh, this
yeah,
business, this. Uh,
yeah.
Again, that type of thing, that implementation of augmented reality, it just makes all the sense in the world.
No, agreed,
That I
agreed.
agree.
I
Yeah,
agree.
that I agree with
I think that is where we're going to probably
you.
see the biggest bang for the individual, like for the individual user, and the
Agreed.
business and how they're able to like get so much more information about a product, a service,
Yep.
whatever it is, how to do
Totally agree.
something, to a user real quick.
Totally agree. Totally
So one
agree.
of the things that we kind of touched on and mentioned a few times, and I kind of want to end the whole discussion on, which was we did all those, those cool things, augmented reality, virtual reality. We did cloud computing and Internet of Things, all those other things we talked about. But I think that one of them that kind of ties them all together is a term that everybody's heard, but what does it really mean? Cybersecurity.
Oh,
So
yes, yes.
yeah. So all those things, all those pieces, all those texts that are going to be coming out that we talked about, we will talk about, or that are 2023 and beyond. Um, we all have to, realize that security, as we, and we're talking about cybersecurity, meaning anything is do something with
Computer.
IT, computers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, that is it. A lot of people don't take that into consideration. They know if they got hacked, and then it's like kind of it's all that information's out there, but I think that a lot of people need to better understand, you know, how cybersecurity plays an important role in even just a consumer's life, not to mention a business, an organization, a medical, or any other kind of business that's out there.
Uh,
You want to take it away on that one?
Yeah, oh, I mean, that I could sit here and preach for hours on. Obviously to keep it brief for the video,
Mhm.
and the audience, we don't want to be having you snoozing, but of course you may be by now. Anyway, yeah,
Well, I know you want to nerd out on this, so just get nerding.
when when you have the problem, it's too late.
Yep.
But when you get the crypto, it's too late. When your user has downloaded something, and they think it's an invoice or a PDF or a pretty picture or whatever, and it's not, and there's a payload behind it,
Yeah.
it's too late.
No, agreed.
It's just too late. You've got to. It is so critical in every aspect of that network. We had talked before about a rack space. Now, a huge, a very large company, very large, set of data centers, and they got a crypto, took out the whole thing, took it out overnight, gone. So if they can get in there, they can get in anywhere.
And that's literally, I don't think a lot of people truly understand what that means. That murdered a whole line of their business, like
It did.
their email business. Now you might
Yeah,
not think, well, what's the big deal? It's email. But when you have, you know, hundreds of thousands or millions of users, and I don't
accounts
know what accounts, and you're getting paid per individual account, even if it's $5, $10, $20 per account, you literally cut that revenue completely off. That business
gone.
is gone to you.
And now you have to, did they steal? Yeah, yeah, there was a crypto in there. Did they steal, the customer data? So now I've got to worry about,
Yeah.
from a privacy, issue, security issue.
Yep.
Then you've got the actual data itself. It is your responsibility to get it back because those people were paying you, to host your data because it's in the cloud. Excuse me.
Hmm.
In that, I think they're pieces that people just don't think of. So, when you're designing your business, you're designing the infrastructure for your business, the IT infrastructure. Let me be more specific. It is paramount that you take your time and make sure that every facet, from your internet connectivity, your email, whether it's hosted in or out, who cares? There's still protection. We have a video on that.
Yeah.
Um, the Internet of Things, your wireless. If you have
Yep.
a guest wireless and a private wireless, VLANing. If there are certain departments that need to be isolated because it's like super critical, right? You want to VLAN an area off and let a firewall, right, a router firewall deal with the communication, allowing stuff through, or a smart switch, whatever. I mean, I would rather have the firewall personally, but again, depending on how serious it is, there those there are just a ton of things that people, business owners, board of directors, sorry, I'm getting bored now. They're just not thinking of, in my opinion, they don't put enough time, effort, thought. It's like, okay, well, we need to do X and Y, just get it done. No, you need to talk about this, and you should have an MSP, a qualified MSP, coming in to evaluate with you. Okay, show me. And this is from ground zero, right? I mean, this is still the blueprints are on the paper.
No,
All
I
right,
agree.
well,
I agree.
this room and this room are going to house this, and it's pretty secretive, or maybe nothing secretive, but we want to be able to have this at some point, and a guest Wi-Fi or a this or a that or a kiosk sitting here
So it's most important to have that kind of open, active
up front,
conversation with whoever's doing your
up front.
IT. Yeah, up
Up
front.
front. And if you've already got the business, then you should still be having that
Yep.
conversation. In my opinion, that conversation should be happening once a year, once every other year, worst case, once every 3 years. It's like, okay, did I change anything in my business?
Or do
And
I
and
need
and,
to? Yeah.
and if the MSP was sharp enough, they should be coming to you and saying, okay, you changed this piece of your business. I think you should do X and Y. So that's a good MSP will do that. I know we do that frequently.
Yeah.
So it is again, it's paramount to do due diligence and make sure that you are protected, and every facet of that business, every facet of your data is protected to the best of your ability and or wallet, your spend, right? So you can opt to spend less money, which most likely will be meaning opt to leave some degree of protection out. And it may be, minute, maybe minuscule. Uh, but you need to talk about it. You need to think about it because if it's, a super piece, important area that
Yeah,
you're trying to protect, okay.
I think for a lot of people who are in business or even just like users of a business, like their sales arms or their the people that are on the road, think of cybersecurity as when you have that communication with you sit down with your doctor that once twice a year, and they give you kind of a physical, a once over, check your blood pressure, all that stuff. It's very similar that your network that you take for
Mm,
granted because literally you sit in front of your computer or your phone or whatever.
sure.
You do what you do in the course of the day, and then like you click away on keys, you send an email, you get whatever. You want to get, the expectation is to earn money by doing these things, but but there still are, like you lock your door in your house, you close the windows so things don't, like
Right.
you were putting a layer of protection in place.
Why do you lock your car,
Yeah,
when you get out of it? And before you walk into your own house, right? This is parked outside of your house. Why do you lock
yeah,
your car? All right, well, geez, I have a garage door open in there. Oh, a lot of people didn't think about that.
yeah,
Well, geez, if you leave your car open, maybe not worry about your car getting stolen, but what if they hit the button and walk right into your house? This is where you're sleeping at night, right?
yeah,
Your kids, your cats, your dogs, whatever I mean,
yeah. or
I
the or the important pieces of information that we all have, your registration, maybe your driver's license, or other vital information that you've left in the car that someone can access and steal your information. Cybersecurity
ho-
is very similar.
hopefully not
It's
your driver's license. That would be,
well, it really could be your
yeah.
purse. If you're how many women do you know that will run out of their car, not to pick on just women, but just they'll run out of the car to go do something, run into the house, you leave their purse in their car,
Mm,
and yes, someone can throw a brick through it, but you do whatever you can to put that barrier to, for a
with
lazy, easy criminal to grab a
Within
hold of.
reason,
Yeah,
correct. Within
absolutely.
reason. So that, yeah, then that all comes down to return on investment. I mean,
Yeah,
if you want to invest in a bubble, that's got two sentinels at the top of it, centuries ready to freaking mow people down, and you can get your class 3 permits to do so. Hey, you want to put that kind of investment in to protect your car? God bless you. But
yeah,
are you going to get a return on your investment? Probably not. But
no.
hey, whatever. But if it makes you sleep better at night, have a time.
But pushing the lock on your car,
What? Yeah,
it's
pushing a
definitely,
lock button is pretty
yes,
damn easy, right?
yes, yeah.
So yeah. Well, push the lock button on your network as well. You walk away from your computer, stupid things. Block the stupid computer before you walk away, so nobody can just walk up to it,
Yeah. Don't use
and do something, or
don't
you're going
use
to get blamed. It's your login.
yeah, don't use password as your password.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah.
There's a myriad of ways.
Yeah.
So that, again, the takeaway I think that everybody should have here is, my last set of comments is going to be do due diligence. Work, conspire with an MSP. Speak to an MSP. Have them look through and talk about every facet of where you're connected, where your Internet of Things are, your servers, et cetera, and just put some thought into it and get some numbers. You may say, I can't afford that. All right, well, doing something is better than nothing.
Yeah.
Agreed? I
No, I
mean,
agree. Working with someone who, like you, like I said before, you work with your doctor, you talk to your mechanic when there's something going on with your car. Anybody that knows, or anybody that is, if you will, in your line of business, knows what they know.
yeah.
And the people who are doing whatever they do, making things, selling things, they don't know all those things. Your job is to help them out with that.
Just because you can turn a PC on and run, Microsoft Office and the like does not make you an IT expert.
No.
I'm sorry, and I don't mean to step on anybody's feelings or toes there, but I'm sorry, it does not even closely make you an IT expert. You are a user. IT expert understands the bits and bytes that are flowing, behind the scenes and what's really happening. And that I think is a huge part. Too many people try to do this themselves, and especially from a security end of it. They'll, oh, yeah, I just put a server in myself. Really? Okay. Well, how did you set it up? Did you use Active Directory? How did you protect it? Well, I don't know. I turned it on and I clicked it because I saw a video on YouTube. Really? Really? How about build an airplane the same way? Just watch the video on YouTube, build your own airplane and take it up in the air. I will not be with you, I promise you, because it most likely will crash and you will die. So if you want your network to die a miserable death, and it could be the data inside that network, well, then just go ahead and fly it off your own. So yeah, and I didn't mean to, again, I don't mean to step on anybody's toes there, but man, that just because you know a little bit doesn't mean you should be dictating what should be done. Period. The end. You know your business, you stick to your business. We know our business, we stick to our business. Period. And the two of us together save you money and a lot of heartache.
All right, Jim, thanks discussing everything we went over. We'll continue to have more discussions as we go into the future. How does someone get a hold of you or anyone within the organization if they want to have a discussion, have more questions? Obviously, if anybody has comments or concerns, they can add it to the video. I'm sure someone will reach out to you. Probably amongst some of those that would reach out to anybody that has questions. But
Yep.
Jim, you want to tell
Yeah.
anybody what they should do if they have questions?
Website, slickcybersystems.com. You can pick up our phone number there. There's also a contact form under the contact us page. You could reach us at 570-215-8888. And give us a call. You could send us an email, sales@slickcybersystems.com, and we will be more than happy to spark up a conversation and see if we can help.
All right. Anything else to add?
That should do it. Have a
All right.
wonderful day, weekend, whatever it happens to be.
Excellent. Thanks, Jim.
Quite welcome. Thank you.